guys, it's Caroline from Chaos Theory. Again, we're going to be talking about something a little controversial today. So, this is just an overview of what I'm going to talk about. This is another segment of Among Us, and today we will be discussing Scientology. Now, instead of making you guys a long video, I'm going to cut this into 3 parts. First part is going to be about the founder of Scientology, L.Ron Hubbard. Then I'm really going to dive into more of the Scientology and the books and how to go up the bridge and things like that in the second part. And then in the third part, I'm going to talk about celebrities because, as we know, Scientology is really big into recruiting celebrities to kind of get the message out there that Scientology. So our first mission today is to talk about L.Ron Hubbard. Okay, so for those of you who don't know anything about Scientology, you guys might learn some stuff. Those who have learned a lot about Scientology in the past few years, because it's kind of exploded in the sense that people are talking about it and talking about how it's a cult and not a religion like it was first started out to be, you guys will get maybe a little bit more in depth with what I'm going to be talking about today. Okay, so L.Ron Hubbard, who is he? Why is he so important in Scientology? L.Ron Hubbard was born in 1911. Okay, he was born to a family that was in the Navy, so he moved around a lot. The issue that I have with L.Ron Hubbard is there's the truth and there's what Scientology says. And that's two very different things. Okay, they try to really show him in the best light and try to, show him as a godlike person when he really was not. So I'm going to go back and forth between reality and what Scientology says. Okay, so born 1911 to a family that moved around a lot because his father was in the Navy. Scientology will tell you that he grew up on the cattle ranch of his grandfather, and he had a very, very, big upbringing, and not true at all. Okay, he was a Navy brat. He moved around with his family. He stayed with his grandparents a lot because sometimes he couldn't go to where his dad was because it was dangerous. So 1911 born, starts doing all of these, trying to get into school, but wasn't really a great student, and ended up marrying this woman called Margaret Grubb, who went by the nickname Polly. He married her in 1933, and they had 2 children together. And his firstborn son, who is called Ron Jr., goes by Ron DeWolf now, was also nicknamed Nibs back then. He followed his dad into Scientology afterwards, but then broke off and said, "My dad's a quack." And Hubbard marries his first wife in 1933, has 2 kids. Then World War II hits, and he joins the Navy. Scientology will tell you that L.Ron Hubbard got the Purple Heart, and he was a decorated soldier, and came out of the war with blindness, and just he did so much great things during the war. That's what Scientology wants you to believe. The actual fact is that when he was in the Navy, okay, so he joined in 1941, he was relieved of his command twice because of bad stuff that he did, okay? And he got out of the Army, the Navy, basically, with conjunctivitis and mild arthritis. He was never blinded. He was never... So there was a lot of stuff that was exaggerated. He never got a Purple Heart, guys. No. So this is all the way till 1945, probably. Still married to Polly. Moves to California after being discharged from the Navy the second time. And meets up with a man named Jack Parsons. Now, Jack Parsons is a well-known rocket propulsion engineer. And he was also a follower of Aleister Crowley, who is this, very famous black magic kind of wizard. And anyway, so he lived with Jack Parsons and his girlfriend at the time, Sarah Northrop, from 1945 until 1946. So he was immersed in this, kind of weird cult-like seances and things like that. Now, what happens is that Jack and Sarah are a couple, but then Ron comes in and he starts dating Sarah. Remember, he's still married to Polly, but then ends up marrying Sarah, and I just want to make sure, in 1946. Still married to Polly. Will abandon his wife and 2 kids to marry this woman. He finally got a divorce from Polly in 1947. Quite frankly, was his marriage to Sarah even valid at that point? Probably not. So Scientology will tell you that Sarah and L.Ron Hubbard never happened, that they were never married, and that his first wife, Polly, died. Because they don't want you to believe that, L.Ron Hubbard, this great man, would steal somebody else's girlfriend. No. He's not that kind of guy. But yeah, he did. So he was married to Sarah Northrop from 1946 to 1951. And during that time, she kept a journal and wrote really, really horrific things that happened to her. One time she was woken up from sleep because he punched her because she was smiling during her dreams. Like, ridiculous. Like, this man was psychotic. And what a lot of people, don't want to admit is that after the war, it left a stain on this man's psyche, and he tried to get help. He asked the Veterans Office to get him psychological help. He felt like he needed it. And they said, well, yeah, absolutely, we can do certain things for you, but like, they couldn't do everything, right? He tried to get help, and he tried to get help, guys, from psychologists and psychiatrists, which is something that you don't do in Scientology. But this is before Scientology, okay? So he was still allowed to ask for help. And obviously, from what Sarah has written in her journals, he needed the psychological help. He wasn't doing well. It was going so bad, in fact, that she wanted to leave him. And she had just had their daughter, Alexis, and he kidnapped her, took her to Cuba, and then told Sarah that he had killed her and chopped her up. And then the day after that, he calls her back and goes, no, I didn't really kill her. I just made it up. She's still alive. Like, who does that to a mother? That's just horrible. In 1950, L.Ron Hubbard started to write Dianetics. Okay, so the book came out in 1950. So during his marriage to Sarah, she saw all of this happening, Dianetics. And Dianetics, the first major book in Scientology, is actually called The Modern Science of Mental Health. So this man thought that he could cure mental health with this pseudoscience that he had created. He actually sent a copy of his book, Psychologists of America or something, like he sent it out and said, listen, I think that this will revolutionize psychology, psychiatry, and all of this stuff. And they wrote back to him and said, we have no clue what you're talking about in your book. It makes no sense. This is not the way to help people with mental issues. So after that, he decided, so the field doesn't want to approve what I'm doing. I'm going to do my own thing. So Dianetics has started dying down a little bit. Okay. And by this point, we're in 1951. He's getting a divorce from Sarah. He met his third wife, Mary Sue Whip, and married her in 1952, and was married to her until he passed away in 1986. So Mary Sue kind of helped push L.Ron Hubbard to start a religion with Scientology, because L.Ron Hubbard is very famous for once have said, he said the only way to make real money is to start a religion. And guess what, guys? In 1953, he did. He decided to take the Dianetics book, make it part of the religion. So it's one of the first books that you have to buy when you start in Scientology. And then he kept adding more stuff to Scientology. Okay. I don't want to go into that right now. I will talk about that in the second part in Scientology, but we'll keep on talking about Ron. Okay. So Ron in 1952 marries Mary Sue, and they have 4 children together, 2 boys and 2 girls. And from his 4 children with Mary Sue, we think that probably just his eldest daughter, Diana, is still a Scientologist. He had his youngest son, Quentin, pass away. He put an exhaust pipe from his car to inside the car and suffocated that way. Um, and his other son, I think, is an artist in LA, and his other daughter, Suzette, we're not sure, but we think she might have gotten out of Scientology. L.Ron Hubbard is putting all these things in places so that he can have his religion. Guys, the only reason why he started this is to make money, okay? Because when he started Dianetics, he had these courses that he would sell to people, okay, to help them achieve their best selves. And these courses would cost thousands of dollars in 1950. It was ridiculous. Well, guess what, guys? If you're in Scientology now, you're in it. If you're doing your whole courses up the bridge, and I'll explain the bridge later, and you do up to OT 10, you're in it for $500,000. It's ridiculous. It's a money scheme. It is a money scheme. So L.Ron Hubbard does all of this stuff. He's persecuted by the IRS, who is after him for tax fraud. So he decides, I'm going to take to the open seas. They can't catch me if I'm on a boat. So in 1967, L.Ron Hubbard decides to organize the Sea Org as part of the religion. And Sea Org members are there to really promote Scientology and push it forward. And I mean, when you join the Sea Org, guys, you have to sign a billion-year contract. That's insane. It's insane. And people go in it like, absolutely, I'm going to save the planet. I'm going to make it so much better. So he had this very charismatic way of pushing the religion and saying, listen, guys, you guys are going to learn so much. And the one thing, no psychologist, no psychiatrist, no psychedelic drugs, no drugs whatsoever. Okay? We're going to get you clear by you being audited. And auditing, guys, is like a machine with cans that you hold, and it has a small electrical circuit. Doesn't hurt at all. But apparently, like the needle, if you're a good auditor, you can know how to read the needle and tell if a person is telling you the truth, kind of, or if there's something bothering them. Because the whole point of you entering Scientology is to be clear of all these negatives around you, these what he refers to as engrams, right? He himself got audited a lot. By the time that he starts the Sea Org and he goes out and he's in England or he's on the sea, he's actually trying to avoid the IRS. And so the IRS keeps on going and going and going. L.Ron Hubbard wasn't doing well by the end of his life. Okay, he was in poor health. I mean, you're going to see a picture of him. It's one of the last pictures that we have of him. He does not look healthy, okay? And Scientology will have you believe that he discarded his body. He did not need his body anymore. Everything that he needed to accomplish could be done without his body. So he's moved on. That's fine if you want to believe in reincarnation, and absolutely. But every day, guys, they still lay out clothes for him in one of his houses. And they're preparing for him to come back. They have his favorite cigarettes ready. They have like, the house is spotless. It's ready for him. There's like, it's insane. These people are thinking he's going to come back. He died of a heart attack. He's not coming back. In January of 1986, he passes away. That's when a lot of people saw a huge change, because this man came in and announced that L.Ron Hubbard had discarded his body. And this man now is the COB. Yeah, let me see. COB, chairman of the board of the whole Scientology religion, which I don't like to call it a religion, David Miscavige. So he took over. But in all fairness, what a lot of people believe is he wasn't supposed to take over. There were other people that were supposed to take over that actually Hubbard had chosen. But he decided, no, I'm going to take over and I'm going to do it my way. And that's when the religion kind of changed for a lot of people. We talked about L.Ron Hubbard. Okay. One thing that is very important for you guys to know is, yes, L.Ron Hubbard was a compulsive liar. He made up a lot of things. He did a lot of kooky stuff. He was also in the Guinness Book of Records because he was a prolific writer. He wrote over 1,600 books, all science fiction books. And that is very important to know, because in the second part, I will explain to you why that is super important to Scientology. All right, guys. So that was L.Ron Hubbard. Please, I mean, if you guys want some more information, look it up. There's so many documentaries. There's so many things that are out there. Don't read stuff from Scientology-based stuff, because you won't get the real story. Another thing that I can tell you is this movie absolutely opened up my eyes. It's called Going Clear, and it's fabulous. If you can get your hands on this, find it on YouTube, find it on Netflix, definitely look into it. So part 2, guys, will be about Scientology, and part 3 about celebrities. So stay in touch. See you guys soon. Bye.